In the world of cinema, there are many film techniques directors utilize to show different moods or to emphasize certain aspects of a scene. One of these techniques is the use of camera angles or distance. The effective use of camera angles and distance is used to communicate visual elements and force the audience to focus on specific aspects of a scene. The films Black Swan and Into the Wild both adequately portray the protagonist's journey to achieve their goals, while also integrating the moods of various scenes through effective use of camera angles and distance. The camera usage in Black Swan and Into the Wild is also used as a tool to contrast the two main characters. Nina is often shown in close-up shots, creating a sense of constriction and claustrophobia, while Chris from Into the Wild is shown through wider shots and open landscapes to express freedom.
Absolute freedom. And the road has always led west.
Darren Aronofsky, the director of Black Swan, effectively utilizes camera distance and angles in order to portray Nina's struggle to perfect the role of the Black Swan, as well as creating a sense of constriction. The majority of the frames in the movie are close-ups of Nina's distressed facial expressions, as she is dancing and having trouble keeping her sane mind. It is obvious in the movie that Nina is extremely stressed, and the use of the camera angles and distance helps show how much she is straying from her sanity and losing her mind. As well as showing Nina's suffering, the camera distance is very close up on Nina, creating a sense of claustrophobia.
Attack it! Attack it! Come on!
Often, Nina is shown in dimly lit corridors or in confined spaces, with the exception of when she's dancing on stage. Throughout her psychotic breakdown, Nina has been confined by tight spaces. But as she transforms into the Black Swan, Nina becomes free, and the space around her seems infinite.
In Into the Wild, the use of panoramic camera movements and close-up shots are used prevalently throughout the film. When Chris leaves home, the use of these panoramic shots help portray to the audience Chris's newfound freedom in nature. On the other hand, close-up shots highlight the mood of the scene. For example, when Chris is about to go rafting, the camera shoots a close-up of the raging waters with Chris in the background, conveying the imminent danger and adventure that Chris will soon partake in the next scene. When Chris climbs the mountains of Alaska, as another example, close-up shots of him stepping on steep rocks and ledges provide an adventurous and perilous ambience. Director Sean Penn also tends to use slow-motion techniques to express contentment and beauty in the various scenes. The slow-motion scenes highlight the beauty of nature to help the audience empathize with Chris and his journey. This is seen when Chris runs through the fields of Alaska with a smile on his face. Or when he is seen playing with Jan in the waves at the beach.
But I do know that that's the way it is here. And I also know how important it is in life not necessarily to be strong, but to feel strong. To measure yourself at least.
The most eminent scene that shows the use of panoramic techniques is Chris's final arrival in Alaska when he reaches the mountaintop. Chris is seen spreading his arms out, tilting his head back, and the camera starts up with a close-up of Chris walking up the peak of the mountain. His face expresses awe and amazement as the camera begins to slowly retract, slowly exposing the view of Alaska. The camera then shifts to a relatively distant position as it revolves around Chris. It then gradually moves closer to Chris, becoming a close-up of Chris spreading out his arms and tilting his head back. This technique powerfully conveys the emotions of freedom and achievement that Chris finally receives when he reaches his goal. A significant scene in both Black Swan and Into the Wild is when the main characters, Chris and Nina, die. Both deaths occur at the end of the movie. Both directors used the close-up shot technique when filming the deaths of these protagonists. In Into the Wild, Chris's death begins with a close-up of his face, a tear streaming from his eye, as he stares into the beautiful sky and sun. Flashbacks of his family are injected throughout his death scene, as the camera begins to pan out, again exposing the vast grandeur of nature. In Black Swan, Nina falls below stage as the camera zooms closer to her face, her eyes looking up at the ceiling. As she begins to pass, she, similarly to Chris in Into the Wild, stares up into the lights and the scene begins to fade. Both directors of these two films use these close-up film techniques to express a certain theme of beauty in the protagonist's death scene.